Hey Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I can't believe 2020 is over.
Yep, all done.
It's been like the weirdest year I think that I can probably remember. I'm sure weirder shit has happened to us individually over the years, but as a whole, 2020 was really not great.
As a whole, for everyone, I think it was just a wacky year.
Yeah.
This is something that the world has never witnessed in our time. It's been just crazy.
Yeah, it's been one thing after another, and just when you think something crazier can't happen or be said, there it is. Out there on the internet or on TV or in the newspaper, or you're talking to somebody at work and oh, did you hear this? And then you're like, no. And then it's just another layer of crazy to add to 2020.
Totally agree.
It was Wild.
Speaking of crazy, in the past week, we've had Christmas.
Yes,
we
we
had
did.
your birthday.
Oh my God.
How'd those things go?
Exactly the way that I had hoped that they would. Christmas was very scaled down, obviously.
I think for everyone it probably was.
Yep. We saw my dad, my grandmother, and my uncle for a very brief period, safely, of course. And then that was Christmas Eve, which is what we usually do with my dad. We see him on Christmas Eve. And then for Christmas Day, we did the same thing with my wife's, parents and brother.
Okay.
And it was very different in one sense, but also kind of the same in the other sense. It was really nice. And then, the birthday thing, everybody was, texting or posting on Facebook. It was very nice to see so many nice people wishing me a happy birthday. So overall, it was exactly what it usually is, just smaller and quicker.
Okay.
And then the next day I was back to work.
Yeah. For you, retail's got to kill you.
It was probably the last 3 weeks have been horrendous. Like, pandemic aside, it was horrendous. Just the amount of people, the amount of things that those people are purchasing. Yes, I get it's the holidays and you want to try to do something nice for your significant other or your kids or whatever, but I just found myself kind of standing there sometimes going, do you really need all of those sweatpants? Like, it blew my mind in that sense. But the worst part of it hopefully is over now, and we can kind of get back to a air quotes normal sort of work schedule.
Yeah.
How was your Christmas?
So Christmas for us, it was very quiet. There was a lot of baking that had to happen. So my wife made Italian cheesecake, and it was great.
That just sounds good. Cheesecake in general is good. Tailoring it in the Italian way.
When you add that ricotta to it,
really good.
Really good.
I probably have had Italian cheesecake somewhere down the road, but I don't remember.
And then Samantha also made chocolate chip cookies.
I think I've had those here.
Oh, you've definitely had them here.
Yes, they are delicious.
It's like Entenmann soft baked. They're perfect.
Shout out to Entenmann's.
Yeah. So we went from baking here and getting gifts together, opening gifts in the morning, to my parents' house. We exchanged gifts with them and my little sister. After that, we took my little sister Gia over to her parents' house. So we went over there. We hung out over there for the rest of the night. We had dinner, we had dessert. It was a fun time. Exchanged gifts there. And it was very relaxed. Usually we go over to my wife's uncle's house, and it's absolute chaos. It's her family converging upon one house, and it's just a mess of children and presents and toys, and it's a little crazy.
That's usually sorry.
But this year, it was nice and quiet.
Yeah, the converging on one house thing is usually what happens at my dad's house on Christmas Eve. But obviously we did not do that because everybody kind of wanted to stay separated, which I get.
Yeah.
So we did a very scaled down version of it, and it was still, very nice. So
very good.
Yeah.
So this being our New Year's episode, the first of the year.
Can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. Let's talk. How was your year previously?
We've kind of touched on it a little bit. It was very different.
Very different.
Because in the beginning of 2020, we were just kind of doing what we usually did.
Yeah, it was just existing life, day to day work.
Mm-hmm.
Then you enjoy your weekend.
Exactly. And, you'd see friends, you'd go out to dinner. And then right around the end of February, you started to hear rumblings of changes that were coming.
Thunder in the background.
Right. Or like in those movies where you're looking at the desert and you see the dust cloud getting closer and closer and you don't know what it is, but you know it's something. And then you start hearing the reports of, outbreaks and viruses and all these words and phrases that you've obviously read about and heard about, but now it was becoming
the new norm.
Right, the new normal. Ugh,
I hate that.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that word, I wouldn't have to go to work. And then I remember very vividly leaving work one night and saying to the manager that was closing with me, "Hey man, I'll see you tomorrow." And he goes, "Yeah, maybe." And the next morning we found out that we would not be going to work that day and that we were furloughed for what was supposed to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that 2 weeks turned into 2 months. So it went really sideways pretty quickly. And then I just kind of went through some weird sort of like mental jump rope where one minute I was like, wow, I have a little bit of time off, but the world's on fire. And it was just wrestling with, I'm taking care of myself and trying to better myself mentally. So I kind of dove into cooking for a little while.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure that when my wife came home, that, there was a meal ready for her and I could at least show her that I was keeping the apartment together and trying to take care of things while she was going out and working during all this craziness. So I really kind of upped my cooking game a little bit.
Okay.
And I posted on Instagram for a while all these different dishes and I named them what I thought was clever things like socially distant chicken or whatever. But looking back on it, that was really stupid. But I mean,
not stupid, just very corny.
Yeah. Oh God, it was like dad joke level material that I was putting out there. But then after a while, I kind of got depressed because I couldn't really go anywhere. I was going food shopping.
Everyone was trapped.
Yeah.
You stay in your home and that's it. And I mean, for the most part, a lot of people are still doing the same thing.
Yes.
They cannot go anywhere or they won't go anywhere.
Right. And, it goes back to I'm seeing people in my life having to go out and I can't at that particular moment. And I was just kind of bummed out for a good chunk of time. And then one day I was sitting outside and I got a phone call from my boss and he was like, "Hey man, you ready to come back?" And I don't think I have ever been more excited to go back to work despite the world being on fire.
Yeah.
Because it was something to do.
Yep.
That wasn't grocery shopping or that wasn't just sitting on my porch at home.
For me, it was the day before my birthday. My job called me and said, "Hey, we've done as much training as we could do at home. We only have 1 or 2 guys in the field a day. So you're going to be one of the guys going on furlough." Corporate sent down names. We had no option as to who got to be put on furlough. So I was one of them. And the first day of furlough was my birthday this year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, it turned out to be one of the best birthday presents I could have gotten from my company, but like you said, I was out on furlough for 4 months. So 4 months, at some point, you're like, what do I do?
Yep.
I tried to keep the house as clean as I could. We got a pet. I was taking care of the pet. Wonderful cat Nina, rest in peace. So 4 months on furlough, and I had to figure out things to keep me busy. For me, I was able to work on a deck. I changed my office into a partial podcast studio, which is where we are now.
Yes, it is very cozy in here.
A little too cozy. I'd like to clean it up a little more, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, no video yet, soon. So I was able to do a few things. I had my fish, I had my cat, and then I was planning a wedding.
That's right. That was probably the biggest positive for you this year.
Biggest positive for me, and I think a big positive for a lot of people, because the wedding allowed a lot of people a sense of normalcy.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
Yep.
It was done very well. It was done very safely. It was done in a way that if you just were in that moment and present in that moment, you were just kind of relaxed and there and celebrating you and your wife as two wonderful people.
The only downside was building up to it. We were anticipating like double the amount of guests, and a couple of weeks before the wedding, they said, "Oh, dropping you to 50."
Oh man, I remember when you told me that. I can't imagine in that exact moment when you found that out how much your head must have spun around on your shoulders.
Well, they told us, and it was the week that we were getting RSVPs back.
You were getting RSVPs back?
We were
when they
getting
told you?
RSVPs back. It's not like they told us prior to sending invitations. We got RSVPs for almost the entire guest list that was coming, except for the people who didn't because of COVID. And the ones that said that they were coming, we had to tell about 20 people that they couldn't.
Oof.
So that was one of the worst feelings in the world.
I can't even imagine. I give you guys so much credit for not only dealing with that throughout the entire planning process, but right up until what sounded like the last couple of seconds.
Yeah, we were still figuring some things out right near the end.
Wow.
And I mean, we didn't want to give up the year. We didn't want to give up the day.
No, because it was a very specific and special moment for both of you.
Yes. So we stuck to Halloween. It was a full moon in 2020, which is a great round number to have as your anniversary number.
That's true.
The next time this is going to happen is, I think, 39 years from now.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit too late.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, a full moon. But it was also a Saturday. It was also the clocks went back.
That's right.
Yeah. And the last time it happened was, I think, World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's so many things that were so positive for the day that we didn't want to pass up on it.
And I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad it worked out the way that it did, despite all the craziness behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful ceremony. You guys looked great. It was just a good night.
Yeah.
And I think all of those people in that room needed that good night.
Yeah.
Just as much as you guys did.
Oh, yeah. And after the stress of the planning and the stress of everything, it was such a relaxed night. You know, it wasn't much thought that went into after that night, except for forgetting the rings prior to the ceremony.
I do remember that vividly.
You just pulled up, and I was like, I'm leaving. I got to go get the rings. I forgot them.
You walked by and you were like, hey guys, all right, I'm leaving. And I remember looking at you going, where are you going? And you're like, I forgot those round circle things that go on your fingers. And you just peeled out of the parking lot. And I looked at my wife and I said, well, I guess that's how the day is going.
Yep. That's exactly how it was going.
But it ended up obviously being a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Yeah. And when I went back for the rings is when I wrote my vows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like 10 minutes and I had my vows written right off the top of the head.
I think that's probably one of the better ways to do it. Not obviously, I'm not condoning anybody listening. I'm not condoning waiting until the last possible second to write your wedding vows.
I had a ton of ideas written, but I mean, to figure it out and write it down cohesively, it worked out beautifully when I had it written.
Yeah.
But it took me, half an hour before the ceremony.
I remember I had written, just like you, I had ideas written out for mine. And I typed them out a little bit. And then the morning of my wedding, I woke up and I didn't have power. So
I remember that.
Yeah, so I couldn't even print them out, to have. So much like yourself, I had to wait a little bit and cut it kind of close. But I wrote them out on a piece of paper on my dad's kitchen counter about an hour before we were leaving to go to the church.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also think it's cool because let's say you wrote this whole big thing and then you wake up that day and you want to add something or you want to take something out because maybe you want to say it differently. writing it in the moment like you did and in the moment like I did, I think it gives it a fresher, more natural sounding feel.
Yeah, it's not like a bunch of ideas written down and then you're trying to mesh them together over time. It's that one moment that you had your thought that just came together.
Yeah, and it's right there, and it's how you're feeling literally on that day in that moment. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I had my wedding, I had my podcast studio, I had my pets. What other things did you get into during the pandemic?
Well, since I couldn't really go anywhere or do much, I spent quite a lot of time researching the history and construction of and the production of cigars.
Okay.
Because when I got married, I had always said that I wanted to have my first and only cigar at my bachelor party. And damn it, I did.
But it wasn't your only.
No, it wasn't, because I enjoyed it so much that I said, all right, I'm going to have one on my honeymoon, and that's it. And damn it, I did. And
But that wasn't your second.
Nope.
And your onlys.
No, it was not. I came back and I repurposed my late grandfather's cigar box, and I started to fill it very slowly. And I was like, I'll just, keep them here just in case.
Yeah, and that's what happens. Then you realize you have an entire cigar box filled like me.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. And then I started trying new ones and trying different flavors. And
I find cigars are a lot like wine. There are so many little nuances in every stick, just like every bottle of wine has something different. You can get a bottle of Cab from any region and it's going to taste different. Where a cigar, you're going to get it from Nicaragua, you're going to get it from Cuba, you're going to get it from so many places, and you're going to have different tastes in every single cigar.
And that's what's so fascinating from trying all the different ones that I have, and then learning about the process that these things have to go through just to end up in your overfilled cigar box in your living room. It was fascinating to me. So I just dove right into that and learning how they grow them and how they transplant different seeds from different regions to make different flavors and how they age them. And it was like my brain, was just soaking it all in. And then, of course, I was trying these different ones as I was learning, and it gave me an appreciation for the effort and the time that it takes to put just one cigar together.
Now, for you read about them, you started smoking them. What do you find you like more? A light cigar, a dark cigar, a nice full-bodied flavor, or a flavored cigar?
I definitely do not like flavored cigars.
Me either. I find them way too sweet.
Yep, I've tried a few of them, and it's not something that I enjoy.
A lot of them have like a sugary coating on them.
Yeah, they're like the ends are dipped in certain things, and it's just not for me. I am kind of in the middle. I don't like it too heavy, but I don't like it too light either. I will try.
A Connecticut cut, a light cut, to me it's too light. There's no you don't get enough flavor.
It's there, but it's not overpowering either.
Yeah.
And on the opposite end of that spectrum, when you go full bodied, it's super intense and it could knock you on your ass.
Oh yeah.
I love that middle line where it could be a little bit darker, but it also could be a little bit smoother. It could be a little bit lighter, but have some darker notes to it. It's a good middle ground for me.
Do you have a preferred beverage when you smoke a cigar?
It depends on the cigar. I've paired it with scotch. I've paired it with regular whiskey. I've paired it with coffee. Pairing it with coffee,
I find coffee is one of the better ones.
It's nice.
Yeah,
it's really because it brings out the cigar and the coffee.
I like a nice cold brew or a nitro cold brew with a nice cigar. The pairing is just so flavorful to me.
I've never done it with a nitro or a cold brew. I will have to give that a shot. But yeah, it was something that I was experimenting with, not all the time, obviously, because it's not necessarily the best hobby for you.
Yeah.
But often enough where I've kind of gained a novice amount of knowledge on the subject. And I just enjoy the history of it because it does take so much just to get one cigar into someone's hand somewhere.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that effort because I'm enjoying something that someone else put so much time and love and energy into. And I just think it was pretty cool.
For me, after setting up the deck this year, I still have a couple of little things I got to finish up on it. But after that, my grandmother had gotten me a pipe for Christmas last year, and I never got a chance to smoke it. So I'm going to actually start smoking a pipe.
That's such a fancy thing.
And
that's definitely a you thing too. I could totally see you just sitting on the deck outside, just you got your pipe in your hand. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I do want to get a Gandalf type pipe, a really long one.
Oh my God, please do that.
Yeah, that just, you rest it on a table next to you and you relax. You don't even have to move.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So, other than animals, weddings, cigars, and cooking, we went on and started this.
Yes, we did.
These are the good things that have come out of COVID.
Yes, out of the COVID-riddled 2020.
Yes.
This podcast is definitely something positive that has come out of it. It's been a very short time that we've been doing this, but already I feel really good about it. I don't know about you.
I do too. I mean, every time I get a message or a call from you and we're talking about the podcast, I'm super excited to do this. So I always can't wait until we're sitting down to record.
Yeah.
And we've only done it a handful of times.
We really have. And same thing on my end. Whenever you're like, hey, man, I want to run something by you, I like run to a corner of the room and I call you immediately. And I'm like, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Because I haven't felt this creative in a very long time.
Yes.
I mean, I've done magic forever. And it will always be in my head somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was furloughed at home, I wasn't performing for anybody. I was just kind of shuffling cards for the birds.
Yeah.
And you can only do that so much before you kind of drive yourself nuts. So this is a different kind of creative outlet for me. And I'm really jazzed about it because it's kind of similar because I'm talking to people and expressing ideas and thoughts and emotions, but I'm expressing them in a different sort of way. And it's new and exciting. And I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Me too.
It's going to be a wild ride.
So overall, I don't think 2020 was that bad of a year. I mean, there's plenty of good that came out of it, just as much as bad.
Yes.
And the only bad was lockdowns and quarantines and having to go stand online for 4 hours to get a test, which I've been lucky enough that I haven't had any symptoms or signs. And I've only had one test done, and that was pretty much work related.
Yeah. I mean, there's all the stuff that you see and you read about, but what you don't read about enough is the people that are going through all these things, finding little moments like we have to bring some sort of positive to their year.
So many people are saying, oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. I hate to burst people's bubble, especially on here, but I don't think 2021 is going to change too much, at least in the beginning.
No.
In the beginning, it's going to be very similar to what we have here. Just like every other year, people sit there and what happens? They say, oh, I can't wait for this year to be over. And it's the continuation in the beginning of the year. The only difference is people now have what?
New Year's resolutions.
There you go.
And you know what? New Year's resolutions, to me, most of them are so stupid.
How so?
Because nobody follows through with them. They say, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then they do it for a couple weeks. And then something happens and they deviate from it. And nothing ever comes of it. And to be honest, most of the time, it sounds more like a bucket list of things.
Okay.
Than an actual, I'm going to commit to this one thing or these two things and do them.
Now, I think if you had a bucket list of items or, even one or two items from said bucket list and you make that a resolution to do them, at least you did it. And then you say, I accomplished the one resolution. I want to go skydiving. So you go skydiving and there's your resolution. That's the only thing you want to do this year. You did it. And you could say, I conquered 2021 or 2020 and I went skydiving.
Yes, you did.
And that's the only New Year's resolution you got to have. The ones that I think are rough are the people that want to have weight loss. You're setting a goal, you're setting a number, and for me, I've definitely failed at that one multiple times. I've tried to do the weight loss thing, and as a New Year's resolution, I think it is a waste of time.
Yes, and you see that publicly in the skyrocketing gym memberships on January 1st.
And then the skyrocketing cancellations on February 2nd.
Exactly. And if you're out there and that's really what you want to do and you're really committed to making that change, by all means, do that. That's great. But you should be doing it for yourself.
Not for a New Year's resolution.
Bingo. You hit it right on the head. It shouldn't be, my New Year's resolution is going to be lose X amount of weight. You should just say to yourself, okay, I need to get myself, my act together here a little bit. And you should do it for yourself, because if you're doing something for yourself, I think it's a little bit more impactful rather than publicly declaring my New Year's resolution is going to be this. Because then if you don't do it, someone's going to call you out on it, and then you're going to feel even worse.
Yep. That throws you into a spiral down.
Right. A, you didn't accomplish your New Year's resolution, and B, your two best friends are calling you out because you didn't do it, and then you spiral down and you never follow through with it. And
I don't think New Year's resolutions are that stupid, as long as you're doing it for yourself, like you said. If you write it down and you put it on a bulletin board in the house, as long as you're not publicly announcing it, I think it's something that you can accomplish. I think it's something that you can go for and do. I don't think they're that stupid, but at the same time, the way that people go about them, I think, can be stupid.
I would agree with you on that. I'm gonna reel my New Year's resolutions are stupid thing in just a little bit, because maybe it's more of the way it's portrayed than the actual idea itself.
I think the attention grab of this is what I'm doing this year is looked at too often than actually doing it.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a little perspective for me that I didn't really have a few minutes ago. So thank you for kind of opening my brain up a little bit more.
The only thing I don't like about New Year's.
What's that?
New year, new me.
Oh my God. Okay. This is kind of along the lines of, certain hashtags or those stupid, national blank days that the internet comes up with. I have to say,
I do love National Donut Day.
Well, donuts are outstanding.
I mean, I agree with you, but at the same time, I'm a total hypocrite on it, because there's certain holidays that I'm like, this is a national day, I'm with it.
That's true. There are certain ones that have piqued my interest, but when you start getting into like National Toast Day or National Spaghetti Day or whatever.
Hey, toast and spaghetti have their places in this nation.
Yes, they do. I'm not discounting that. No, I'm not discounting that at all. But sometimes I think it's a little bit over the top, but that just has to do with the internet. And
yeah, people take things. When you look up whatever the national day is, they have like 5 other national days with it, and you don't know which list is accurate.
Exactly.
The U.S. should have it on their government website what the national days are.
Then people might actually listen, or
then
they
won't
won't
care.
Yeah, or
then
they
I
won't
don't care.
But yeah, the New Year, New Me thing. Again, if it's something that really truly does motivate you
and it helps you,
by all means.
Yes.
But also, stop.
Yeah. Don't post it. Feel it.
Yes.
Do it.
That's a good tagline. Don't post it. Feel it.
I am one with the force.
You are.
So
I can feel it.
There you go.
So if you're going to pick something to not post but feel for 2021, what would it be?
Well, this is a public forum, Corey. I should not be addressing. No, I'm definitely going to. You asked. So for me, I think what I would do if it was going to be my New Year's resolution, what I'm going to do and be, I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to have things scheduled and ready and do things the way that they should have been done, and I've been too lazy to do.
I completely will jump on that with you and say that is definitely definitely at the top of my list, because I too am not always as prepared as I should be, and I definitely procrastinate on a lot of things.
That is my word. I have a mug downstairs that says I put the pro in procrastination.
That's a very clever mug.
Yeah, and I mean it's me to a T, and I know it.
Yeah.
And I need to change it. And I like to think that between my wife and between this, that I'm starting to close in on getting things done in an orderly and timely fashion.
And it's on the internet now.
Yep. Now I have to do it.
Yeah, it's there. It's done. But I'm in the same boat. A lot of the times I'll think, all right, I got this done, and this done. And then I'll just breathe for a second. And then, oh, crap, I forgot this thing. Or something will come up in conversation with a friend or a coworker, and it will remind me, oh, shit, I forgot to do this. But I really am going to make a concerted effort in this new year.
I'm going to start writing things down. I'm going to start scheduling things the way they need to be. And I know for me, when I have to get something done and I'm rushing last minute to do it, it's the worst feeling in the world. I'm exhausted by the time I finish it, and then I don't even feel relaxed to relax. So I want to get it done early, get it done as soon as I can, and then I know the feeling in my old age that as I get things done, I sit down and I can relax for the night and not have to worry about it.
I need to teach myself that more, because I'll do that for like a week or two, and then something will happen and it'll throw me off, and then I'm right back to where I started. So I think that is definitely something that I'm going to work on too. So
okay.
Thanks for bringing that into the conversation for sure.
So same New Year's resolution, we'll make sure we stay on each other for them.
You know what? I think that's a great idea. We're going to be accountability buddies.
I like that. I like that term a lot.
Yeah, let's do
that.
And
I think that some people might need that. And I think that might actually help people get New Year's resolutions done.
You know what? You're right. If you really, really want to do something, but you're struggling with it, find somebody that can help you achieve that goal. And it doesn't have to be...
Or if they're doing the same goal.
Right. And it doesn't have to be someone, that you see every single day. It could be a friend. It could be a coworker. Just be comfortable to be held accountable by that person, because sometimes you're probably going to be like, whoa, what's he talking about? I got it all done. But you need to, keep yourself at that level and push forward.
With today's technology, I think it should be so easy. You could schedule a text message to go out to someone to remind them to do something. And you could schedule that at January 1st and every Monday after that.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to ever speak to you, and you don't have to speak to them.
But
But a scheduled text goes out, and that person is keeping you accountable.
Yeah, and they know that it's working.
Yeah.
Like every Friday, don't be a dumbass.
Yep.
So, it's just what you make of it. And I think having this conversation and seeing it from a different perspective, but a similar one, is definitely a good jumping off point for me. So do you have any big plans for this year coming up?
Well, because of this virus, planning is a little
wacky,
a little on hold. We didn't get to go where we wanted to for our honeymoon. We had a nice trip where we did go, but we really wanted to travel out of state, and Emperor Cuomo doesn't let that happen.
No, he does not.
So, I mean, hopefully plans to travel, but we got to wait to see how that works out. I know we have 2 weddings for friends this year. Possibly 3. So we're waiting to figure that one out. But those are all in state, so shouldn't have an issue going to them.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, no big plans for 2021. I do want to try and kick off a second podcast.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. So, a little pop culture, a little comics, a little movies, a little speculation from across the verse.
That sounds great. No big plans on my end yet either, for those very similar and same reasons. There is one wedding down the road a bit in 2021 that will hopefully go off without a hitch. But that's going to be, we're going to have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm just going to be working. We're going to be here doing this.
Yeah.
Making this, a big part of our lives, hopefully this year, and hopefully part of your lives too, people listening.
Definitely hoping we could do this as a weekly, if not bi-weekly.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out and we'll get this going.
Yeah, right now, I mean, we're putting episodes out, so we'll see how it goes. And other than that, I'm just going to try to make it more positive in 2021 than I was able to towards the end of 2020. Because just at the end, it kind of went on a little bit of a positivity upswing. So I want to try to continue that so that if things are still kind of wacky, we can, at least, like I said earlier, find those little nuggets of positivity, and kind of hold on to those.
I like that.
What a great conversation this was.
Yep.
It was enlightening. It was eye-opening. We kind of recapped some stuff. It was good. I felt really good.
I agree.
So where can our listeners follow you on the social medias?
You could find me on Facebook, Anthony Marchese. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Papa Formaggio. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Corey M, as in Michael Martin, at Corey M Martin on all those platforms. I tweet often. I post funny things on Facebook sometimes, and anything I cook usually ends up on Instagram.
You can catch us here at Casual Friday Pod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Absolutely. And you could use the hashtag Casual Friday Pod to talk about this episode or any of the other episodes coming up in the future. Let us know what you think. You could even shoot us an email.
If you guys have any suggestions for the show, any tips, any critiques, feel free to email us, casualfridaypod@gmail.com.
We are open to any and all of those as we are trying to get this off the ground. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Happy New Year.